Welcome back, everyone, to Ed Up Edge, where we discuss all things career education, leadership, and life hacks. Hear from some of the most amazing and insightful guests in higher education. Let's go. Hello, and welcome back to Ed Up Edge, where I cover all things career education, leadership, and life hacks. And I am your host, Kathy Belletti. Today is going to be a solo episode. For those of you who have been tuning in for almost the last 4 years, wow. I used to film a lot of solo episodes where I was given admissions tips every other week, and a lot of people have been requesting that I bring those episodes back. So that is my commitment to you. Once a month, I will drop an episode giving actionable tips that can really get the needle moving at your campuses. And the other 3 weeks, I'll be bringing on some amazing guests. So today is going to be about the hidden struggles of admissions advisors that no one is talking about. I know we don't like to go down this dark road, right? But we're not going to be able to save our advisors if we don't talk about this stuff. I do a lot of advertising on TikTok, and there are a lot of people who are saying that this is their dream job. Here's the problem. They're reading reviews from past and current advisors on this role, and they're saying, I had no idea that this is what it entailed. I don't think this is something that I want to do. Okay, so if you guys have been out there throwing out those job ads and you're not seeing a lot of interest, that could be why. All right, so I'm going to give you the top 5 struggles, okay? But most importantly, I'm going to give you some actionable tips that you can implement immediately, okay? Because at the end of the day, your advisors, they really want to win, okay? So the first thing is the pressure to hit enrollment goals, okay? I've been in this industry almost 20 years, and this is the same topic that we've been talking about forever, okay? Your advisors are struggling to meet targets, and here's what's contributing to it. Number one, giving out outlandish expectations without a plan. It's one thing to be aggressive. It's another thing to not show your advisors how we're going to get there. How are we going to meet those expectations? I hear from so many advisors, they're like, Kat, this is my goal for the month. How am I supposed to do this? And I'm like, so what is your team actually saying to you? You know, are they giving you some type of plan? They're like, plan? No, this is a problem. Okay. And here's the thing, lack of training. If in fact, give you a perfect example, you have a team who needs to start 15 students on day one, right? There's 2 more weeks left to the class start. The average advisor who doesn't understand how this process works, they're going to enroll up to 15 students and then they're going to stop. Day one, they're going to fall short. There's going to be a couple of people who just don't show. And a lot of that has to do with lack of sticks, but that's another episode. Okay. The problem with this is a lot of advisors do not understand gross versus net. There's no such thing as 100%. You may have an advisor once in a blue who every single person that they enroll shows the first day of class, but that is not something that is common. If an advisor understands gross versus net based on historical show rates, they're going to know how many students I need to enroll in order to hit that number on the first day of class. And this is where that stress comes from. There is no plan in a lot of cases. So here is a fix for you. Number one, shift the focus to daily wins. Okay, we have to get to the point where we're encouraging our advisors to focus on daily activities that actually lead to results. If you have an advisor who is struggling with making outbound dials, okay, and they're saying, you know what, I want to aim for $20 per hour. The first hour to hit 20, celebrate. Hour 2 to hit 20, celebrate it again. Right? If you have someone who is like, you know what, I'm going to go for 3 appointments before 2 o'clock this afternoon. Number one, it makes it fun, right? But number 2, when they do hit that expectation, we need to celebrate that and we need to include the entire team. Okay, this needs to be a group effort. The second thing is to set micro goals. So you're breaking those big enrollment goals into smaller numbers. This goes back to a run rate. Your run rate is going to tell your advisors, this is what I need you to do day one based on your class start rate. Okay, this is how many gross students you're going to need in order to hit that number on the first day of class. And here's the thing, that number can go up. If they stick more, that number can also go down if they don't talk to these students after they register for the class. Okay, stitch number one, that's a whole different episode, but stitch is very critical to increasing your show rates. Okay, the third thing is celebrate small successes. All right, let's say for instance you have an advisor who was dealing with a really tough student and they were able to overcome that obstacle. That's something that needs to be celebrated. Some of you have advisors on your team who can only sell 2 out of the 10 programs that you offer, so they only focus on those 2. Wonder if they were to add 2 more programs that were difficult for them to explain, and now they start enrolling students for those programs. That's something to celebrate. Or here's my favorite. I hear this a lot from admissions teams. Students who just popped out the blue, who we already wrote off. You thought that they were not going to show. That's it. They're not interested. And then all of a sudden, the student walks into your building and they say, you know what? I'm ready. Thank you for the outreach that you were giving me every single week. You never forgot about me. Those are things that we need to celebrate, okay? Because it also builds morale. Right, here's the second thing, handling rejection and objections daily. I don't think that anyone who has never worked in admissions before will understand the pains that an advisor goes through on a daily basis. Number one, you have so many teams who are trying to hit minimum 75 to 150 touch points every single day. You have some teams who are calling 250 students every single day. Imagine yourself sitting at a desk and the first 3 hours, all you're hearing is voicemail after voicemail after voicemail. When someone picks up, you're hearing, they're not home. I never requested information. How did you get my information? I'm already enrolled at another school. No, thank you. I'm not ready at this point in time. I told you guys to take me off of your list. People who just requested information like 2 minutes ago. Okay. It starts to weigh down on your admissions advisors, right? And this is where that burnout comes from. Rejection is not easy. Okay, your advisors put in so much work just to get one single student in the building. We're not even talking about the enrollment yet. We're talking about trying to get someone to walk into your front door. There is so much that goes into that. Here's another thing. I just made $150. One person finally picked up. And then the call disconnects, or you finally get to the enrollment, not the enrollment, you finally get to the ending of the call. We're about to set the appointment. And then all of a sudden the student disappears and you can't even get them back on the phone. There's a lot of mental and emotional stamina that is needed in this role. So here is a quick fix for you. Okay. Number one, reframe rejection. Your advisors feel that everything is their fault and it's not. Okay. I've been in this industry for almost 20 years. And I know the way that I was conditioned from the very beginning is if students do not start, I did something wrong. Right. And I'm not necessarily saying that that's exactly how I was trained, but that was the type of environment that I walked into. We need to get our advisors to understand and recondition their minds that if a student is not ready to move forward at this point in time, that is 100% okay. We have to get away from the, if students don't start, you did something wrong, you didn't follow up. That could be the case in some points, but that is not always the case. So we need to reframe rejection, that it's a part of the process. Okay, so that when it happens, your advisors are like, okay, well, I already anticipated that happening. All right, so now what do I do next? Build an objection handling toolkit. Okay, a lot of the advisors who are logged on to my admissions training program, guess what? They get an entire booklet of objection handling. And I like to call it addressing questions and concerns. Okay. But it gives all different types of scenarios that you're going to face every single day. And here's the thing, these scenarios change from day to day because our students, they change from day to day. And so does higher education. Right. So encourage your team members to prepare these objections in advance. I always tell advisors, If they have an objection that they've never had before, when I give you the answer to this, I need you to make sure that you write this down, because if it happened once, it's going to happen again. So you should know how to handle this the second time. Okay. The third thing, decompress regularly. I filmed a video on this a couple weeks ago, and it wasn't the most popular opinion, but you have to create a culture of rest in admissions. Besides the fact that there is so much activity and so much moving parts in the admissions role, your advisors, they listen to a lot of stories that can be heartbreaking every single day. Imagine taking 10 of those in 1 hour. At some point, they're going to have to walk away for 3 minutes and say, I need to decompress, because that was heavy. Okay, if you have advisors that are in this industry for the right reasons, that means that some of these stories are going to hit home. Some of these stories are going to affect your advisors mentally and emotionally, but also all of the activity up front, so many different calls, and then there's walk-ins, and then there's follow-ups, and then there's students walking into their offices. There's a lot that goes into this role, and this is why it's not for everyone. You have to create a culture of rest. Too many advisors come to me and say, rest, that's not encouraged in our department. I just finished making $100. As soon as I sat back to go, whew, all of a sudden my director is walking by saying, come on, we have to stop that. Okay. Here's the third thing, balancing personalization and efficiency. Keep in mind that a lot of your potential students, they're getting the same message from multiple schools. So what is going to separate you from everyone else? Number one, use templates wisely. Create flexible email messages that will allow for quick customization. You have to put yourself in your student's shoes. What will you respond to, and what will you block? What would you delete? Okay, those are not the messages that should be in your campaigns. All right, active listening techniques. We have to get better at teaching advisors to ask better upfront questions. Listen, I do a lot of mystery shopping, and it's so disappointing because sometimes I'm trying to help the person on the phone. Like, I'm almost begging you to ask me a question about myself. And it's just, yeah, so this program and that program and this program, and this is how long it is, and this is how much the tuition is. It gets to the point where you give me the tuition. I'm like, oh my gosh, that is so expensive, because I'm trying to bait them to actually have the conversation. And it's like, yeah, well, you could go someplace else and it's going to be more. What? We have to get to the point where we're able to train these advisors to actively listen and ask more questions that's going to help them understand these setbacks. Tell me why. Tell me more about that. Really? Okay, why did that happen? You want to ask as many open-ended questions as possible. Okay. First off, advisors, for those of you who are listening, that first call is not your own personal information session. Okay. This is information gathering. You want to find out as much about your potential students as possible. Okay, that's all I'm going to say about that topic. The third thing is prioritize high intent leads. So many times your advisors are spending a lot of time calling leads who are already dead, or leads that are cold, and they're not going to respond within the next few months, right? Shift the focus and let's concentrate on the students who are actually interested, or the ones that are, going through the process, and they're giving you deadlines and they're saying, I'm not ready yet, but give me a couple of weeks because this is what I need to put into place. We're not going to be calling people from 4 months ago who already told you, I'm not ready, this is not happening, I don't have anything in place. We're not forgetting about them altogether, but that shouldn't be on your daily call list. It's a waste of time. Okay, some may disagree, but you want your advisors to focus their time on tasks that have the highest chance of actually converting. Okay. Number 4, navigating difficult conversations with uncertain prospects. Okay. A lot of your advisors, they don't know how to handle, tough conversations. So they just bypass it. And they go, okay, no problem. Call back when you're ready. And some of these students, they just need you to walk them through the process. We have to understand that a lot of their friends and family members, they are the enablers. They are the ones that saying, you know what, why are you doing this now? You have two kids. Who's watching them? Not me. They're not giving them options because they don't want to be bothered. So when they talk to your advisors, sometimes that is their last key. Your advisors are their last opportunity. Okay, so solution, empathy first. I've listened to calls where students are crying, they're pouring out their hearts. Some of them in a hospital about to face like a tragic surgery. And I hear advisors go, oh, okay, so I'm assuming that you're not going to be able to start class now. Please tell me how that makes sense. Empathy should be first. You have to encourage your advisors to acknowledge a prospect's concerns and then ask deeper questions so that they can understand where the root of uncertainty is coming from. Too many times, our team members are jumping to conclusions and then they sound silly. Someone says, what is your tuition? You automatically jump to, we do offer financial aid for those who qualify. I didn't ask you anything about financial aid. I want to know because I actually have a fund that I want to pay by cash. So I want to get an idea of what the payments actually look like. Like, pump your brakes, look, back up. Take your time with your students and stop assuming that everyone is in the same exact situation. Okay, use the feel, felt, found. Okay, so those OGs who have been in the industry for a very long time, you understand the feel, felt, found, right? I know how you feel. Other students have felt the same way, but they have found. I actually use a term called AFR. Okay, so you're acknowledging what your potential student is going through. And then you're letting them know that other students have felt the same way. And then you're reassuring them that you're going to be able to help. All right. So here's a perfect example. If a student says, you know what, I'm not sure that this is for me. Okay. Using the AFR method, you're going to say, I completely understand. It's a big step. Okay. You're acknowledging. Many students have felt the same way at first, right? But we have support systems in place to help you succeed, like tutoring, flexible scheduling, mentorship. Okay, let's talk about what would help you feel more confident. Okay, that is a term, all right, that I created called AFR. If your advisors start using this, they start turning those objections around because a lot of times those objections is just an opportunity for you to break down what's really going on and then offer solutions. Okay, so make sure that they're using that. Okay, you can use feel, felt, found, or you can use AFR. Here's the other thing. Offer next steps and stop pressuring your students. It's a trickle-down effect. Your advisors feel pressured, so now the pressure is going down to your students, right? So now when you speak to a student, you're automatically thinking, I need this person to enroll. Wait a minute, you already skipped 5 steps. And here's the other problem. Your students already know that when they call your school, you want to get them to enroll. And that's not what this process is about. And it should not have been about that in the first place. There are different steps within the enrollment funnel. When you're talking to potential students, you need to let them understand we're only concentrating on the next step. Every step is an additional step towards your goals. If I'm talking to you on the phone, all right, your next step is a campus tour. Okay, that's all we're thinking about at this point in time. The campus tour, because I don't only want to give you information, I want you to get an idea of what your experience at the school will look like. Okay, so let's talk about that first. The student shows up. Okay, the next step, let's go take a tour. The next step, let's complete this application. You get past the application. The next step, let's talk to financial aid. When you break it down into many steps, number one, it takes the pressure off of your advisors because they're thinking with the end in mind, but in a negative way. You're on the phone, oh my gosh, I just need this person to set this appointment. So you're skipping the entire script. You're in an interview, I really hope that this person enrolled. So you're not even listening to the red flags. You're not picking up on them because all you're thinking about is the signature on a piece of paper. The student enrolls, I just hope that they start class, but you don't even stitch them. You don't even call them after they enroll in class. Okay, this is real talk because I've been seeing this over and over within admissions teams. And at some point, it needs to end. All right. So, baby steps. This is the next step for you in this process. We're not talking about enrollment. We're not even there yet. We're just talking about how you're going to get to the school so I can show you these classrooms and these labs. This way, you can tell me if you feel comfortable here. Okay. Start reframing your mind. Here is the final thing. Soon as I find my paper. The need for continuous growth and support. Okay, listen, there are schools that still exist who do not offer any admissions training at all. There are also schools where there are DOAs who do not even meet with their advisors once a week. This is why this is important, okay? Your teams need to be supported. So what happens is a lot of times when you have tenured folks, you're automatically thinking, well, they know this role. Yeah, but the industry is changing and our students are evolving. So what worked 30 years ago is not going to be the same thing that works now, which is why when a lot of people log on to my programs, they're like, Kat, your videos, some of your modules are different. Like I can see that this one is an older video, this one is new. Why? Because I am constantly updating my training program. You can't just launch something and 5 years later, you're talking about the same thing, but the industry has moved forward. This is the problem with higher education. They're way behind, right? So you have to make sure that you continuously train. A lot of tenured folks fall into bad habits, and a lot of new folks were never taught anything in the first place. They don't understand the admissions culture. Role playing is so critical, and moreover, role playing, situational role play. Instead of going from the very beginning to the script of the script to the end, how about you give out different scenarios? Okay, I'm a dependent student who lives at home. I have no kids. I don't talk to my parents, and I want to take a $40,000 program. Let's role play that. Okay, we need to get to the point where we are consistently training our teams every single week. They need that support. The one-on-ones that you're going to have with your team, that is critical because you have advisors who need help, but they're not going to say that in a group. So that's your opportunity in those one-on-ones to really peel back that onion and understand, what do you want to accomplish? Let's put work aside. What is your overall goal here? Or what is your overall goal personally? But then also in those one-on-ones, that's your opportunity to really have them talk about what their struggles are and where their opportunities are. Sometimes you find out a lot about your team members and where they need to succeed when you stop talking. I do SWOT analysis with advisors when I am actually helping teams. And the SWOT analysis, I probably say like 4 things, and that's really tell me more. Okay, that sounds good. What else would you do? Because that SWOT analysis is an opportunity for your advisors to really analyze their activity and where they're falling short and where they're really doing good, right? And certain things that are threatening their opportunities and opportunities, right? You have to make sure that you're doing that every single week. And this is why sometimes we don't know what's going on with our team members. And when they hand in that 1 hour notice, yes, 1 hour notice, then we're slighted and we're like, wait, what happened? What happened is this advisor has been drowning for weeks and no one has been paying attention. Okay. Here's the last thing, self-evaluate. Teach your advisors to self-evaluate, look inward. When I was an advisor, anytime that I was falling behind in my activity, I always used to say, all right, Kat, what did you miss? What did you miss? Before I started pointing fingers, I always looked inwardly and I was like, okay, where am I missing the ball? And you know how that happens? Because I understood my conversions. I was taught my conversions. And I always say the beautiful thing about admissions is when you know your conversions, you know exactly where you fell short and where you need to pick it up. So if I have all these appointments that I'm booking and no one is showing up, I'm like, Kat, go back to your call. Do you understand why these people need this opportunity? If I don't have anything written down, there's my problem. I need to work on that. If I had so many people that were enrolling and no one was starting class, before I go to my director and I blame marketing and I blame the students, I'm like, Kat, when was the last time that you spoke to the student after they enrolled? Wow, it's been a few weeks. That's a me problem, right? So a lot of times we have to stop babying our advisors and we have to help them be accountable for their activity or lack thereof. Okay. So just to review, we need to make sure the pressure is off to hit enrollment goals. I already gave you guys tips on how to do that. Handling rejection and objections daily, balancing personalization with efficiency. Okay, navigating difficult conversations with uncertain prospects. If they're not ready, that's okay. Okay, and last but not least, the need for continuous growth and support. That is so important. All right, so I do have a full training admissions program called Next Level Admissions Recharge. Okay, there are over 120 lessons that are comprised of videos, presentations, fun skits, quizzes, assignments, all different things to keep your advisors engaged. Okay, why do my enrollment leaders absolutely love this program? Because number one, it takes the pressure off of them, and two, they can use it as a support. When you are training your teams or when you're doing your one-on-ones, you can easily say, okay, we still need to work on this script. I need you to watch module 3 again. Okay. What I love most about this program is the community. Every single advisor that's logged on is in the same community room. So they get to speak to each other, but most importantly, they get to drop their toughest scenarios in that community. They get to ask me questions every single day. I get notified every single time your advisors do ask a question. So I get to respond to them in real time. Objections differ every single day. Okay. And this program is for new and tenured advisors. I have folks in this program who are 6 months in, and I have folks in this program who are 30 years in this industry. But this offers daily support for your admissions advisors, and they get 1 year unlimited access to the portal and to the community. Okay. If you are interested, you can go to my website at lessons.motivatewithkat.com so you can read up on what it entails and the different topics that are included. Onboarding literally takes 5 minutes. I need an email and a first and last name, and then they get started right away. Okay. But lastly, I want to leave you with this. Admissions is one of the most difficult career paths that someone can choose, but it is one of the most fulfilling career paths that anyone can take. Okay, our students are very important. Okay, they want to succeed. And as an advisor, it's your job. As a leader, it's your job to motivate and inspire. I always say when it comes to leadership, the best leaders are the ones who are able to inspire people to go the extra mile because they want to, not because they absolutely need to. All right. So keep that in mind. Your advisors really want to win. And as leaders, I know that you want to succeed as well. So till next time, let's get our team some training and encouragement. Bye, all.